I wanted to make some things that were from the Blue Zones areas. And we're going to start off with the honey cookies. The honey cookies are from Greece, which is a beautiful area, of course, and one of the original Blue Zones areas. So we're going to start. Are we ready, Cole?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we're going to, oh, I forgot to get the whisk. Hold on. This is my kitchen, so I know where everything is. So Cole, I'm going to give you the whisk, and we're going to take this bowl, and we're going to start off with 3/4 cup of orange juice. And this is to sweeten the cookies. So there's no sugar in this recipe. Okay, we're going to go with 3/4 cup honey. I know, isn't that gorgeous? I highly recommend getting the honey in a bowl like this, because last night I was trying to put it into a 3/4 cup over and over again, and it was really messy and hard. So I like these little bowls. Okay, now we're gonna have juice from half of a lemon. Look at this gorgeous lemon. It smells pretty good. We were sniffing the food earlier.
I smell everything.
We're food sniffers. And I'm gonna get a knife really fast.
Can I whisk yet?
You can, sure. I don't see why not.
One hand. I'm one hand whisking. If you don't want to use honey, what can you use?
Well, I think you could use like maple syrup or something like that. But I do think the honey gives the cookies. So we may have sampled one of the cookies. They're very moist and delicious. And I think a lot of that has to do with the honey, but also we're going to be using some olive oil here pretty soon. So we're going to use juice from half a lemon. Do you want to squeeze that?
Yeah.
Thank you. And let's see. That's beautiful. And I love the way that it smells. And then we're also going to have 1 tablespoon of lemon zest. This is a tool that I really like to use. It looks like a mini back scratcher. You should not use it to scratch your back. But what's really fun is that you can just kind of put it over the top of your citrus. It can be orange, it can be lime, it can be lemon. And we'll just do that. It's kind of juicing a little bit too on my hands.
Do you know what I add to my lemonade?
No.
I learned this in Denver from a cook there. He made a lemonade that was fresh squeezed lemonade, but he put real vanilla bean in it.
Oh, how did he do that?
He got vanilla bean and put it in it.
No, maybe he cracked it open and like put the beans inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't a syrup.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was yummy.
Did it give it a creamy flavor?
It just reminded me of my childhood, sweet, and the lemons and just the vanilla. And like, it's one of those things where you have a moment.
Yeah.
I think food has moments. It's like,
I do too.
like you get it and you just, like the zest right now, I feel like it's a big bowl of pho, but that zest, and then I think the smell takes you back to a moment.
I agree. And I have to tell you guys, I always keep a towel on my shoulder because my mom always did. And it just sort of is easy to just wipe off all the lemon zest. So you were talking a little bit earlier about why you got into Walla Walla Eats and why you're so passionate about food, and that stemmed from your childhood.
Oh yeah.
So when did your love of food start to happen, and why?
We grew up in a really poor part of Arizona. We were in a little town in Mesa, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times where, breakfast was Cheerios and water because we couldn't afford milk. Or we'd get cheese that was given to us. And I don't know what it was called, but it was a big brick of cheese that was like white, but kind of yellow, but had no flavor.
Oh, wow.
It was gnarly. Yeah. And so from there, I would go in my cupboards at my house and just figure out, okay, what do we have? What can we mix? What can we put together? And I just started cooking around my house.
Oh, wow.
For our family.
That's lovely. Just so they know, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I will splurge on pure vanilla if I can. It's good to get I know you want to smell it. We do like to smell, don't we? especially with baking.
Yeah.
But the pure vanilla is worth the splurge if you can. And I usually get like a bigger bottle, like at a Costco or someplace like that, because it lasts longer. And so a bottle like this can last you a whole year. And so that's kind of nice.
I use vanilla on my French toast.
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing that we're gonna put in is 1.5 ounces of rum. Now, if you don't care for rum, you can also use cognac, but if you don't care to use any alcohol, you can just add more orange juice. Okay, so you can just substitute that for orange juice. But I'm gonna feel like a pirate. Oh my God. Hold on, give her a second. She can do this. I think I need an eye patch. Okay, ready?
God.
Oh, hey, that sounds like a good time. Okay, so there's 1 ounce. Does that smell good too?
Ooh, yeah.
It does.
That
One,
vanilla.
it does smell like vanilla and a half. Okay, now we're gonna whisk that all together. We're just gonna start sniffing everything.
Oh, so when I got out of high school, I decided I want to own a restaurant. So I started a restaurant in Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
We sat 500 people, and it was the dumbest thing I ever did.
500 people?
Yeah.
Okay, this
Yeah.
was 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And you're gonna see that this helps the cookies become really light and fluffy. When you'll see the finished product, you're gonna really know that both of these are at work. And then we also have, let's see, I just wanna make sure I get this correct. The 3.5 cups of flour. And I did send the recipe in an email to you all. If you haven't received it or you didn't get it in time, that's okay. I'm going to send you a copy of this video as well as the recipes. So if you don't have it in your possession right now, it is coming. So this is 3.5 cups flour. Okay, I'm going to get it for you. So you started a 500-seater restaurant in Arizona.
Yeah.
Wow.
I borrowed some money from a friend. I launched the restaurant. I had 100 items on my menu, and I was just losing my tail. I couldn't pay the bills.
Wow.
So I hired a chef, and he took about 75% of things off my menu.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we won best fries, best martini, best burger, best wrap, like, because we got a chef. We got someone who knew what they were doing. And then when I was done with that, I moved to Idaho and then ended up in Denver. And I worked at the D Bar, dessert bar with Food Network chef Keegan Gerard.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a dessert chef. And then
just like we are.
Yeah, we're dessert chefs. Hashtag chef life.
Chef life.
Then I ended up in Walla Walla, working a few places and got to know a lot of chefs in town through my window cleaning business. And since I knew the chefs, then the pandemic was coming. Do you want to transition to that?
Oh, I love transitioning to that, but who doesn't like to talk about the pandemic? So, okay, if you like to smell stuff, right in here is a pinch of cloves. And I have to tell you, like, my pinch might be bigger than most other people's pinches. I do love clove. It gives it a little bit of spice and it smells delicious. There's 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. It kind of smells like the holidays. And so we just put that into the other dry ingredients. And so here's what we're going to do now. You, my friend, are going to switch from the whisk to the spatula, and you're going to stir while I slowly put this in a little bit at a time. Okay.
I feel like that should have music when we just did that.
I could sing for you.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about your transition to the pandemic.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So the restaurant, wine and beer, the whole food and beverage business really paid a lot of my bills with the window cleaning company. And so when the pandemic hit, the first thing I thought about was like, wow, this shuts down the majority of my business too.
This is the olive oil too.
Ooh.
I know, 3/4 cup olive oil. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
And then I just got on a group text with some chefs in town. I was texting Dan Thiessen.
Here, you talk while I stir, because your story is so much more interesting.
Yeah. And then I just asked the chefs, like, I have a social media business. What do we need? What do the restaurants need? And the consensus was they needed a funnel basically for all the information of curbside pickup and takeout to be in one place.
Oh,
So
wow.
I started a Facebook group because we could manage it better and the community could be a part of it rather than just a Facebook page. The group I thought would fit what we needed best. And we called it Walla Walla Curbside and Pickup, I think.
Yeah, I
what it was called.
remember.
And then it, I mean, it hit 5,000 followers really fast. And here's why though, because people in our community would go to, say, the bread company and get some bread. They would go to butcher and grab some meat. They would go to another spot and get a dessert. They would maybe hit the thief and get some wine or drinks, or they get a burgers from Red Monkey or whatever that was. They would get it and bring it back to their table. I point over there because there's a table, but they would set it down on the table and the community would take photos of what they called going out to dinner, which was going to get the dinner, bring it back and staging it on their counters.
How many of you did that at home? I did. And
Yeah.
well, and this is before I knew Cole. And so what he did was bring a little bit of normalcy, a little bit of joy, a lot of joy actually, to a lot of people, because we were all stuck in our homes and we weren't able to go out to dinner and see our friends and family out at dinner. So we kind of simulated that in our own homes and then shared it like we normally would if we were in this setting. We shared it on the Facebook page, and I actually became a member of that page or that group before I knew you. So I'm really grateful. I'm just really grateful for that. Thank you, by the way. I've never thanked you for that. So
it's fun. It's a community page. So when on Facebook, when it hits 5,000, you can change the name by then, but once you change it, you can't change it again per Facebook rules. So that's when I called a few people, Jeremy from Discover Walla Walla, and just said, hey, what would you name it? What would you look at? And I just asked a lot of people, and then we made it a vote. We got down to 5 different names and put it on the page, and we let the community pick the name.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. I wasn't in on that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. The community picked Walla Walla Eats and Drinks, which I thought was like a play on words, but just really soft and inviting is where that.
And it's exactly what it is. So, okay, we're finished with the batter and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's really sort of light and you can see sort of the air inside. The olive oil makes it really delicious. And anyway, so you're supposed to let this rest for 30 minutes at room temperature. And so we don't have time to let it rest for 30 minutes. But what we'll do once it's rested, I have a scoop. I love this scoop. This scoop has made hundreds, maybe even thousands of cookies. So just to keep it consistent, it's nice to have a scoop, but you can also just use a regular tablespoon or a dinner spoon that you have in your home. And we're just gonna get a little bit of it. And then it's a little smushy, but if it was rested, it's just a little bit harder. And then you roll it in your hands. You can't really roll it right now because it hasn't rested. And then you just place it on the pan, and then you put it in the oven for, I would say, about 10 to 13 minutes. However, I will tell you this, every oven has its own love language. I really do believe that. Don't you think? You have to get to know your oven and probably your stove too, but I'm such a baker that I always think of the oven. But when I moved into this home, this was a new oven to me. So I ruined quite a few batches of cookies because it was an electric stove that ran a little bit hotter than my other stove. So I will tell you that I would watch the cookies the first time you make it to see how long it should be in the oven, because I will tell you the next recipe that we're going to make, I cut 10 minutes off of the cook time. So you just kind of need to watch and take care of your babies in the oven. You can't just leave it to chance. So, okay, we're going to put this to the side and let it rest, because you can bet I will be making those cookies and they will be at our office tomorrow. So I think I'll be a huge hero.
I know where your office is.
I know, I was going to say, I was going to give you some and you can take it to your office.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can do that too. So we're going to move on And we're gonna go to Costa Rica. And I'm super excited about these. These are Costa Rican baked donuts. Now, this really reminds me a lot of when I went to Mexico and spent time with my fiance Abel's grandmother. The recipes are really simple. They're really delicious. And it's just really, it was beautiful to watch her work with the cornmeal. We don't have homemade cornmeal per se here. You know, she would soak the corn and then she would grind it just right in front of us to make these lovely tortillas. So this is for Abuela Rosa. I'm channeling her today. But we do have some corn flour. And corn flour just looks like this at your local grocery store. You can get it at any grocery store in Walla Walla. And so we've got, let's see, this calls for 2 cups of corn flour. You want to grab the other one?
Oh yeah.
And we'll just plop it in. And 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So I know it's so simple. It's, what does that smell like?
The top of oatmeal.
Yeah, because it's brown sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that you say that everything has, I'm just not going to put all that in there because I'm a little judicious with my salt. We'll just, we don't need that. Throw it over the shoulder. Okay, and then we're going to get the 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Yep, smells like oatmeal. Okay, and what we're gonna do now, this is the best part. We're just gonna mix it up with our hands. I'm gonna let Cole do it.
Oh yeah.
Because while he's doing that, I'm gonna get a cup of warm water, 1 cup of warm water. And I'm making sure it's warm.
So you're gonna put corn in donuts?
Yep. Well, I mean, if people can put Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna keep mixing it with your hand. Do you want me to do this part?
It's okay.
Okay, you got it.
I'll endure it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna just put a little bit in and you're gonna mix it with your hands. What do you like to smell better than you like to feel?
No, it's just like the warm water and the flour.
Yeah.
It's different feeling.
I know. It reminds me of when I was in kindergarten. They used to make handmade, like homemade Play-Doh. I loved that stuff. And then they would put the dye in it and you could decide what color dye you wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought that was the coolest thing.
My 2nd grade teacher always made taffy.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You could eat that. I'm pretty sure some kids ate the Play-Doh, but they weren't supposed to.
I was in a spelling bee and they had just made the taffy.
Oh my gosh.
I was pretty good at spelling, but I kept losing because all I could think about was the taffy in the classroom. I was like, can we get done with this spelling bee so we can go eat our taffy?
I thought you were going to say that your teeth got stuck together and you couldn't spell the words. That would actually be a really
I just
funny.
couldn't spell the difference. I didn't know the difference between blue, the color, and blue, the wind.
Oh, I get it.
They asked me like 5 times and I wasn't getting the hint.
That's okay. All right, I'm going to get just a little bit more.
I have a sweet tooth though.
I do too. Gosh, I do. Oops, sorry about that. Friends at home. So if you have a childhood favorite cookie recipe or memory or smell, just throw it in the chat. Let's see what you got. What are some of the things that that are nostalgic for you? Do you have a love language recipe? Okay, a little bit more.
Yeah, I grew up in Arizona, so we always had tamales at Christmas. So all I can smell is this corn, just like.
Okay.
So to me, it smells like Christmas.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna get in there a little bit too.
Yeah.
See, I brought this knife. One of the things that my mom taught me is a knife is a really good thing to get dough off your hands. So if you want, you can use this and just scrape it off. It works good, huh?
Yeah.
Moms know. That's my mom, Nancy. So, okay. So I'm gonna get in there. I took a pottery class once, or really it was, I don't even know. We didn't throw pots or anything, but we were working with clay. And there was this amazing artist. He was from Japan. He was a visiting artist. So he didn't speak any English. So he had an interpreter and he would watch me knead the dough, and he would laugh and laugh and laugh. And finally, I was a little self-conscious. So I asked the interpreter, I said, why is he laughing? And the interpreter said, he just wants to know what that dough ever did to you. So I guess what he meant is that I'm a little heavy handed with the dough, but that's okay. It's a good way to get out your aggression without hurting anybody, right? Okay. And then once you get this together, we may add a little bit more water as we go. That's the other thing, friends, about baking is that you kind of get to know your recipes and you kind of get to know what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to look like. And so trust that. That's the thing I love about baking is it doesn't have to be exact. Often it does with, the baking soda and the baking powder, but you do kind of get to know your recipes and lovingly create them from memory in a lot of ways. So we're going to add, let's see, I want to say a third. Yeah, it was a third cup of creamed corn. You can find this in just about any grocery store, and it adds a little bit of sweetness to the mix. Good. And then we also are going to add another teaspoon of that beautiful vanilla.
Those are great food photographs in that.
I know the book is stunning. Here, you want to hold it up for people to see while I put my hands in here. That's nicer to see than my gross hands.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. You can see those women's hands working on the.
Yeah, they've got the lighting right, the shadows, they got the depth. Those rings are good. You can see their hands. I like to shoot food.
This is making like a good squishy sound. This is a great recipe if you have children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews. This is a great recipe to do with children, right?
But in this, the corn smells really sweet.
I know.
Why?
Because it is. Because corn is actually sweet, and given that's why they make syrup out of it, I think, but we don't eat that. But anyway,
I did as a kid.
I know.
All we had was corn syrup in our house for syrup. So I just grew up thinking corn syrup was really healthy syrup because it was made with corn, and maple must not be because
it's from a tree.
Yeah, I guess I never knew that as a kid, but it's more sugary.
Sure.
And Elf likes maple syrup.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I made you breakfast. Spaghetti with maple syrup. Okay, so to me, this feels like a little sticky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of my flour and I'm going to place a little bit on the counter, like so. Thanks for helping me with that. I'm also, if you haven't noticed, a very messy baker. I find it to be a really fun sort of process. I just really feel like a child when I'm baking. I really like it. I mean, of course, I'm the adult who has to clean it up now, but still.
But I usually shoot chefs. So right now I'm like, oh my gosh, this counter is so messy. And how are we going to take a photograph? And so it's funny, what you shoot for social media, what you shoot for, businesses, I think is the beauty of being at home is then you can just make a mess.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, that feels see how much softer, and see it's not sticking to my thumbs anymore. And the other thing too, is when we start to work with this, we're going to have just a little bit of water nearby in case it gets to be, we'll have a little bit of flour on the counter and a little bit of water so that if it gets to be too dry, we can dip our fingers into the water, or if it gets to be too soft, we have just a little bit of flour on the table too. And again, that is so fun to do with kids because they get such a kick out of it. Kids love to see you get messy in the kitchen too, because then it gives them permission to just have fun with it.
What about couples?
Couples
cooking?
That could be fun.
Yeah.
That could be a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, thanks. He's helpful. I'm going to say that you should definitely come bake with me again. So it tells you to take about a thumb's worth of dough. Look at how dirty I am. I love it. Everybody's thumbs are different, right? So you're just going to eyeball it. And we're going to get Cole to, thank you, Cole. He's going to come get his thumbs worth. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to do a little bit more than my thumb worth, because what I found out is that it's better to make these rolls a little thicker, a little fatter. I made them a little thin, and they were a little dry. So I highly recommend doing them a little bit fatter. So then we get our dough and then we just roll it.
Not a ball.
Nope. Just like in a little, I don't know, oblong, little oblong.
Yeah.
And then you just bring it together like a little donut, just like that. They also kind of look a little bit like tortellini. And then you place it, but I'll show you what I did that was incorrect. I made it, see how it's getting a little dry. I'm going to dip my fingers in there so that, oh, yours is much better than mine. That's beautiful. Cold.
I had more time.
Well, I don't know. I think it's lovely. So what I did earlier today, I know.
I can't tell what the smell is. It just, I mean, we still have some honey and some
I think it's
rum
the
over there,
corn.
but
I
is
really
it
think
corn?
it's the corn flour, because it smells like this when we make corn tortillas. So this is what I did earlier today, you guys. I made it a little bit too thin and a little bit too much, and it kind of became dry. So I highly recommend making it a little bit fatter and a little bit smaller, like so, because otherwise it'll get a little bit dry.
Rebecca, have you been out for a Walla Walla restaurant month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did.
It's all month in February.
It's the whole month of, and actually Blue Zones Project is, we're getting in on the action. Katie, who is our places lead, who is behind the camera right now, she's fantastic. She's working with some local restaurants and getting them to do all kinds of fun stuff. And what we're doing the last week of February is, if you go to one of the restaurants that are participating, you get free Blue Zone swag if you mention that you saw our social media ad. And so we'll be doing that at Stone Soup. We'll be at Wingman. We'll be at Rogers Bakery in College Place, and we'll also be at Bacon and Eggs. So if you see that even if you don't see the social media ad, you can say you did, and you'll get a free Blue Zone swag at one of those restaurants the last week of February. So we're really excited about that. That was a really good question. Thanks for teeing me up. And then the others, I went to Hadaway's.
Oh yeah.
I took my fiance Abel to Hadaway's for his birthday, and we had their fried chicken and grits, and then also a beautiful salad. Their food is very farm to table. We really enjoyed it.
And they always give you peanuts at the beginning or popcorn.
Or
yeah.
Or they gave us pickles.
Oh, pickles, yeah.
They homemade pickles.
And then did you get your bill and a book?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I forgot the book. But they put it inside just like a library book.
Yeah.
So there. Okay. And speaking of library books, we're going to have another Blue Zones cooking class with the Walla Walla Public Library. And that is happening on the 27th. And we're going to be creating ingredient bags. So starting this Saturday, you can go to the Walla Walla Public Library. You can pick up a copy. You can check out a copy of our Blue Zones Kitchen book, which is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And as I've been working my way through the recipes, I've been pleasantly surprised. And anyway, you can check out a copy of the book. You can also pick up an ingredient bag. So you get to cook right along with us. And that's coming up. And if you go to our website, Blue Zones Project Walla Walla Valley events page, you can register for that and get in on all the fun. And also they're giving away, I believe, a crock pot. And also they're going to raffle off one of these books. So it's a great thing to participate in and have some fun. Okay, so we're going to put these guys, well, if we were done, we put these guys into an oven at 350 degrees. Now it says 35 minutes. I think that's a little bit too long. Check the springiness of your donut. So when I opened it, I kind of touched it and it sprung back a little bit on the fatter ones. On the skinny ones, it's just, it was, to be totally honest, I could have thrown it across the room. It might have broke something. It was like a hockey puck. So I highly recommend checking after about 20 minutes to see if they're finished. So I'm going to show you what the finished products look like. I'm pretty darned excited about it. If you want to look at, you're doing such a nice job. I love it. So when these beautiful things are finished baking, these are the honey cookies, and here you can see these are a little too thin, but these are the Costa Rican donuts. And what's neat about the Costa Rican donuts is that they can be served savory or sweet. You can drizzle them with honey. You could put, you can actually, they're like little cornbread donuts. You can even put them in chili if you wanted to on the top of your chili. You could put a little bit of salsa, avocado. How would you eat it?
I was just trying to figure out a way to put frosting on it. 'Cause you mentioned Rogers, and Rogers is like, they've got the maple donut, like it's the maple donut.
They do.
With the frosting, it's like almost as thick as the donut.
That's true.
So I'm looking at the recipe too, like, so what
Where's
kind of
the-
frosting goes in this donut?
Well, how about a little bit of honey?
Yeah.
Do you want to try it with a little bit of honey?
Yeah.
Okay, me too. And so speaking of Rogers, what other bakeries do some, doesn't that just, looks really good. I don't want to presume to pick yours up for you. So grab one of those if you like. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay.
Yeah, eating on camera is weird.
Mm.
You're right with it?
I'm fine with it. I can eat anywhere, in a house with a mouse, on a boat with a goat. Oh man, that's really good. And these are better than the first batch I made, I guarantee you, because there's that springiness. You can see, like, you know, it kind of bounces back. But yeah.
It's so sweet.
It's sweet, but it's also kind of like a scone. It kind of sucks the moisture right out of your mouth a little bit, like a good scone does. And you know, the other thing is too, I feel like they're quite filling for as small as they are. What do you think?
Well, I'm
They're
pretty
dense.
hungry. I'm kind of thinking about dinner right now. So yes, they are.
They're not filling if you're a young man who's hungry for dinner. That's not enough.
But this is the food. Like, I think food brings community, and I think it brings transparency just around people. And I think food is different alone than it is with people. But when I'm alone with my food,
I know what you're saying.
When I don't know, I think I just like to make food look the best that it can, and I like food to woo you in, rather than us trying to like push something on you. The food should speak for itself. And so a photo does that. Like, don't take bad photos of food. Please don't take bad photos of food. Only take good photos. Honor your food. And so when you have like this piece, I just think if I was alone, I would just take it, have a bite, and just sit there and have my moment and just think. And then all the flavors that are in this goes back to like my childhood, and then high school, and then maybe cornbread, even, you know, camping down in Arizona. But then having that moment and having that peace, I think, then it changes your whole day. So every morning I have a moment. I don't start my day without a moment with food.
And I like that, because there's a lot of folks that maybe don't have the opportunity to have those moments. There's food disparity. So if that is something that you're concerned about too, you can come volunteer with Blue Zones Project. We work with BMAC Food Bank quite a bit. And then also this month we will be making and serving dinners at the Christian Aid Society. So there's a lot of things around food, right? It's memories, it's equity, it's community, and everybody deserves to be a part of that. And so if you'd like to help with that, we'd love to have you. And again, that's on the events page, and I will be there. And okay, so I have to say, if I had to pick a favorite, I think I love the Costa Rican baked donuts, but I really was surprised at how much I really loved the honey cookies. So let's just take a little bite of this and describe what we think about this.
It's dense, but it's light.
It's the craziest thing.
And it smells like, it just smells like Christmas. Yeah. Why?
I think the nutmeg and the
nutmeg.
cinnamon,
Yeah.
and the cloves, which of course I do a good hefty pinch of that. But what I like about it is that it's not so sweet. You know, my kids love chocolate chip cookies, which are delicious, of course. But sometimes when I eat something that's too sweet, I feel like I've been like sugar bombed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it invades your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta honor your mouth. Like you can't just
Just put anything in
yeah,
there.
take small pieces,
Mm-hmm.
enjoy those things. Can I tell a quick story?
I wish you would.
Oh yeah. So when I first moved here, I got my commercial driver's license at the college, and we had to drive to the country Merck. Is that past
Mhm.
Pasco?
Mhm.
And we got there, and there was a guy I drove a rig with there, and I walked over, and if you've ever been to that place, it's like giant. And they had a salsa bar like pre-pandemic,
Mm.
and I looked over. I'm in the chocolate. I'm by the apples. I love licorice, black licorice.
I do too.
Yeah.
Oh,
What kind of
boy.
licorice?
Well, do you mean like from what
Like
country?
what? Yeah, like yeah.
I think I don't like the Netherlands because it's too
Mm.
salty. So I think I just like a traditional thick
Mm.
black from the United States,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, I have one at Bright's Candy, which is Finnish,
Oh.
and it's like, I tell you what, that licorice, like I started sweating. Like it was so just, I'm not educated enough in licorice to know what it exactly means, but
It
it was
tasted
heaven.
really good.
Yeah.
But back to your story, we're
yeah.
in merchants.
Oh,
Or
the
the
squirrel.
mercantile, the
I
mercantile.
just saw a squirrel. Oh, sorry. Yeah. There's so I look over, and my friend's over there at the salsa bar, and he just took one chip, a little triangle chip, and he dipped it in, and it was like slow motion. Like I love food in slow motion, and he did this slow motion thing and just ate the chip and the salsa, and he just sat there with his eyes closed, like, and just he was breathing really slow and just kind of there. So I'm like, I gotta find out what this is. It's intriguing. So I walked over. I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, what do you have? Like, this must be amazing salsa. What is it? And he just goes, no, honestly, my grandma passed and she made a salsa just like this.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so when I eat this salsa, I take a minute and I think of my grandmother, and I'm just so thankful that I got I like to cry. So but he just got this moment where it was like he felt as if his grandmother was there
Oh wow.
based on the things that was in the salsa. And so for me, my thing today is the corn takes me back to my childhood around Christmas when we would have all the tamales come in, and you would just taste them and eat them. So I don't know. I just challenge anyone out there. Like, if you don't really know what kind of food you like, try it all. And then when you find something you like that's yours. It's precious, and hang on to it. And that's your time. It's I have a jewelry box, you know, where I like bracelets and rings, and I keep bracelets and rings there. I think food's kind of the same. You have these certain ones that can help you get to another stage in life, or get through a storm, or get through relationship problems. It really helps. Now you can overdo it, and have an eating addiction, but
or a pregnancy. I had a couple of things that got me through pregnancy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Cole is having sort of this amazingly spiritual, relationship with food, but I actually relate to that. And so we should maybe do like a yoga cooking or cooking class, because I'm a yoga teacher too. And we're doing a purpose workshop that is connected to also with yoga, and that's coming up in not this weekend but the following weekend. So if you feel spiritual or you want to get in touch with being able to have those moments, because sometimes we forget to even learn how to have those moments. So we'll have a purpose workshop coming up. It's at Kaleidoscope Studios, and then another one coming later in the spring at Zen Soul. And we'll be partnering yoga with finding your purpose, and what's better than that. So I think we're just about wrapped up here. Do we have any questions from anybody? Would anybody like to
I have
ask?
another one.
Cool.
Oh, you could ask me questions.
Ask
What would
Cole.
you drink? What would you drink with this one? Like, I was thinking like maybe man, there's so many.
Well, I would do, so this reminds me so much of Abuela Rosa, that I would probably do like a Mexican hot chocolate. And you can get that at any store now. I mean, gosh, it's just, and I think it's called Abuelita. And you can just put it into some milk on top of your stove. And they have this little apparatus here to whisk it, and it puts air inside. It's just really lovely. And of course, we got this in Mexico from the village where she lives, or the town, and you just put it in like that. I think that's what I would do with some cinnamon on top. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking this one
Mhm.
with maybe that is it a London fog?
Yeah, the
At
Earl Grey,
the cart trailer.
the cart.
Yeah, across from Breadco. He
Mhm.
makes probably the
So
best one
good.
in town. You have one of these, a chair, some R-Pods, your Spotify list. Like that's some good mental health stuff, man. Like
Yeah.
that's some self-care.
And the London fog, if you don't know, it's sort of like a latte made with Earl Grey tea with a little bit of vanilla.
Mm.
And it's something to try. It's
Mhm.
really good. And you can do it with oat milk or almond milk too, if you don't like dairy. So that works too. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, I just want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight. I want to mention one other thing that's coming up. We're doing a kitchen makeover in this kitchen. Part 1 happened in this kitchen last month, where I cleaned up my refrigerator and my pantry. It's gorgeous right now. It looks nothing like my counter, this messy counter. And the second part, Leslie Snyder's going to teach us how to, isn't she great?
She's a good soul.
Isn't she great?
Yeah, but then like she's so brilliant.
She's so smart.
Yeah.
And so she's going to teach us what our red light, yellow light, and green light foods are. Not meaning that the red light foods are like a never, just kind of finding out how we can translate those things onto our plate so that we live a healthier, happier life. And you guys, if you come to that one, you will be registered to win a kitchen makeover in your own kitchen. So Leslie will come to you and go through your kitchen like she's done mine. And I have to tell you, it's actually made a huge difference. I'm surprised at first. I was really surprised at first, but now, she's cleaned up the way I see things in the refrigerator. The healthy stuff is available right there. So please don't miss that one. That one is incredible. And that is happening on February 22nd. From 6 to 7 p.m. It's also online, and it's going to be right here in this kitchen. So again, Cole, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I just love this guy. He does so much in the community. We barely scratched the surface of what he does. So thanks for sharing your childhood memories. And
thanks for bringing me. And can I just say to the community out there, like, go to Walla Walla, buy some food. Go to a restaurant, buy food that works for you and with you and helps you and fits you. If you don't want to eat out, go to a store, buy stuff, bring it in. But we have so much here in Walla Walla that we produce here, that we grow here. Not a whole lot gets shipped in. So we're very blessed to be in a community with an amazing palate. We have so many chefs now, so many restaurants. It's a beautiful place to live.
How great is that?
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great night, you guys. Thank you so much.